In a moment that has stunned the gospel world, David Mann has finally broken his silence amid heartbreaking reports that his wife, gospel legend Tamela Mann, is nearing death. Just minutes ago, David released an emotional voice statement, shattering months of controlled narratives and corporate spin. With his voice trembling but resolute, he revealed the harrowing truth behind Tamela's condition and the web of silence that surrounded her battle. As Tamela reportedly remains non-responsive in intensive care, David's raw words have ignited a firestorm, raising urgent questions about faith, family, and the unchecked power of the gospel industry. This isn't just a crisis, it's a reckoning, and it begins with the voice of the man who refuses to let her story be rewritten. A trusted confidant turned reluctant witness. For over a decade, Dr. Jackie had been by Tamela's side, not just as a healthcare provider, but as a sister in Christ, a protector of her peace, and the last line of defense between the singer's fragile humanity and the demands of an unforgiving gospel empire. She was there when Tamela underwent her first dramatic weight loss surgery and stayed through every follow-up procedure, many of which were quietly concealed under vague headlines about rest and spiritual sabbaticals. As the gospel world marveled at Tamela's transformation, her shrinking frame, her glowing skin, her radiant presence, Jackie monitored the nerve damage, the rising blood pressure, the recurring infections that came in waves behind the scenes. Despite knowing the truth, Jackie had maintained silence for months. Public statements were filtered through PR teams and legal advisors. Every doctor's note had to be cleared. Every hospital visit was strategically masked with timed Instagram posts and recycled devotionals. Tamela's condition was deteriorating, yet the image of her thriving continued to be monetized. It was not just a betrayal of privacy. It was a betrayal of faith, truth, and the very spirit of gospel music. The digital curtain, manufactured miracles and scripted updates. Behind the scenes, a powerful media machine had taken control of Tamela's legacy. Concert footage was repurposed. Outdated gym videos were uploaded with new timestamps. Posts appeared with captions like, "Feeling strong in the Lord today," while the woman who supposedly authored them lay immobile in an ICU bed, surrounded by machines. Her team, allegedly acting under the guidance of a crisis containment document titled TMOUR Crisis Protocol, orchestrated a carefully curated digital illusion. The document, later leaked by a disillusioned former assistant, contained protocols such as delay any public health updates unless cleared by legal, maintain the illusion of progress via recycled media, frame any absence as spiritual silence, not medical emergency. The goal was not healing, it was control. It was a calculated campaign to protect a brand that had become too valuable to slow down, even as the woman at its center withered. Spiritual exploitation in the age of optics. The gospel industry had turned Tamela into a symbol of triumph, and now, even in her suffering, she was being used as a prop. Leaked recordings revealed instances where her frail, nearly inaudible voice from hospital rehearsals was edited, auto-tuned, and paired with soaring piano tracks to create new devotional content. These AI-enhanced pieces were released under titles like Strength Through the Storm and Testimony in Silence, while Tamela was reportedly too weak to speak or sign her name. The Faith and Fit Coalition, a Christian wellness group Tamela allegedly never officially endorsed, pushed out faith-based fitness kits, detox teas, and even promotional materials for resurrection yoga retreats. Documents later revealed forged digital signatures on partnership contracts signed while Tamela was undergoing high-risk nerve regeneration surgery. One whistleblower, a former legal assistant, confessed that the team used voice cloning technology and pre-recorded audio clips to simulate her approval in Zoom meetings and voice memos. A husband muzzled, a family in the shadows. David Mann, Tamela's husband, creative partner, and lifelong spiritual companion, was allegedly sidelined in the final months of her decline. According to insiders, David was issued a PR gag order that required all public statements about Tamela to be pre-approved. He was not allowed to update fans, lead prayer requests, or even respond to questions about her condition in interviews without prior clearance. Behind closed doors, however, David was preparing. Insiders say he compiled a digital folder, labeled the Judgment Folder, containing emails, medical charts, contracts, and voice messages. It included screenshots of unauthorized financial transfers, proof of blocked access to Tamela's publishing dashboard, and discrepancies in revenue reports for merchandise sold under her brand. Over $280,000 was reportedly withdrawn from their joint creative business account within a 72-hour window following her third emergency procedure. The DNR revelation and the hologram debacle. One of the most devastating revelations from Dr. Jackie's leaked voice note was the confirmation that Tamela Mann had a signed DNR, Do Not Resuscitate, order in place. This critical document, meant to honor a patient's final wishes, was corroborated by an ICU nurse operating under the pseudonym Psalm 91 Truth, who disclosed the information on a private gospel forum. Sources close to the Mann family describe intense emotional conflict. While some relatives wanted to override the DNR in hopes of a miracle, others believed they had to respect Tamela's faith and let God's will unfold. But while this life-and-death battle unfolded behind hospital curtains, the gospel world carried on in disturbing contrast. That very weekend, a cruise-based gospel tribute featured a full-scale hologram of Tamela Mann projected on stage, performing her iconic ballad, Take Me to the King. The crowd roared in celebration, completely unaware that the real Tamela lay unconscious, surrounded by machines in a dim ICU. Her image was being used to inspire, while her body silently fought to survive. It wasn't just tragic, it was hauntingly exploitative. A woman who could not speak for herself was repackaged as a digital mirage, as if death itself had been edited out of the gospel spectacle. The inner circle cracks. Dr. Jackie's voice note ended not with resolution, but with devastation. Her final words, "This isn't healing anymore. It's harm. I can't protect her if we're pretending." That phrase spread like wildfire across social media, church WhatsApp groups, and private gospel fan collectives. Screenshots were archived, reposted, dissected. Hashtags like #Justice for Tamela and #Spiritual Malpractice trended across Twitter and Threads. Supporters demanded accountability. Others denied everything, accusing Jackie of betrayal. But for those who had quietly suspected that something wasn't right, that the glow-up was too sudden, the updates too rehearsed, this was the confirmation they feared. In the days that followed, several gospel influencers and independent artists began stepping forward with their own stories. Whispers of similar cover-ups, contracts that exploited illness, and tour demands that pushed artists to the brink began surfacing. Tamela's situation, tragic and unique as it was, began to take on symbolic weight. It wasn't just one woman's suffering, it was the indictment of a system that commodified faith, packaged struggle, and sold it as inspiration. The fallout has only begun. With Dr. Jackie's voice note out in the open, the ecosystem that profited off Tamela's name began to crack. Churches that had once hosted tribute nights issued retractions. The Faith and Fit Coalition's website was quietly taken offline. A spokesperson for David Mann issued a carefully worded statement. We thank you for your continued prayers. The Mann family is in private reflection. All media inquiries will be addressed through legal counsel. Meanwhile, gospel networks that once profited from Tamela's streaming catalog started pulling unreleased content marked under ongoing creative collaboration. The digital audit had begun, but perhaps the most haunting question remained unanswered. Was Tamela ever truly recovering, or had she been quietly fading while the industry built a multimedia empire on her silence? As the gospel world reckons with the layers of deceit, exploitation, and spiritual gaslighting now exposed, one thing has become clear. Dr. Jackie's voice note was more than a medical update. It was a rupture in a sanctified facade, a trumpet blast that echoed through church basements and boardrooms alike. A bitter, sobering reminder that even in the house of God, not all things are done in truth. Artificial vocals and a manufactured comeback. The dark side of tech in gospel music. In what may be one of the most unsettling developments in the gospel music world, the revelation that Tamela Mann's team has been experimenting with artificial intelligence to replicate her voice has sent shockwaves through fans and insiders alike. A technology insider with direct knowledge of the label's inner workings confirmed that, amid Tamela's health crisis, the team began generating artificial vocal tracks derived from her old studio recordings. This technology uses sophisticated algorithms to mimic her tone, pitch, and emotional nuance, essentially creating a digital clone of her iconic voice. The intent behind this high-tech experiment was reportedly to launch a new EP titled Healed and Highly Favored, featuring these AI-enhanced songs. This project was pitched as a powerful comeback, an inspirational testament to her resilience and faith. However, the truth is far more complicated and ethically fraught. Tamela Mann herself never approved this endeavor. According to Dr. Jackie, who has been closely involved in Tamela's care and vocal about her condition, Tamela hasn't been fully conscious in over 6 days. This means she could not have given informed consent for such a project, raising profound questions about artistic integrity and personal rights. The use of AI to replicate the voice of a woman in a coma crosses into a murky ethical territory where faith, artistry, and human dignity collide. Is it right to commercialize a digital facsimile of someone who cannot speak for herself? At what point does inspiration turn into exploitation? The gospel community now faces a reckoning with these questions, confronting the darker consequences of blending technology with sacred art. The financial storm. Millions spent amid crisis. While Tamela Mann's physical health deteriorated behind closed doors, an internal financial report from the Mann brand team revealed staggering expenditures during the crisis period. More than $275,000 was funneled into an emergency brand repositioning campaign within just 10 days. This massive financial injection covered the launch of digital wellness campaigns, spiritual resilience merchandise, repackaging of existing products, and new merchandise lines aimed at maintaining momentum for Tamela's public image, even as she lay incapacitated. What's particularly tragic is the disconnect between this aggressive marketing blitz and Tamela's actual condition. At the time of these expenditures, Tamela was reportedly sedated, incubated, and under constant neuromonitoring in an intensive care unit, unable to communicate or participate in any of these brand activities. David Mann, her husband and longtime spiritual partner, reportedly found himself locked out of the publishing portals and digital accounts, controlling Tamela's intellectual property and earnings. This exclusion from the financial and creative reins of his wife's career has fueled rumors that he is preparing a lawsuit of biblical proportions. This lawsuit aims to target not only the label, but also wellness affiliates and questionable faith-based nutrition companies that allegedly pressured Tamela beyond her physical limits, potentially accelerating her decline. The backstage tensions, caught between faith and commerce. The tension between the desire to protect Tamela's health and the commercial interests of her brand reached a boiling point behind the scenes. A leaked recording captured a heated confrontation backstage between David Mann and a representative from the Faith and Fit Coalition, a Christian wellness organization deeply involved in Tamela's promotional campaigns. In this emotional exchange, David slammed a medical file on the floor and shouted, "You want her to praise in a wheelchair while you sell T-shirts. She's dying, and y'all want a sermon series." This raw outburst encapsulated the core of the conflict, the sacredness of Tamela's health and legacy versus the cold calculus of branding and profit. This moment is emblematic of a larger issue within the industry, a conflict between genuine care and commercial exploitation, between faith-based inspiration and corporate marketing. The pressure to keep Tamela's brand active, even as her body failed, speaks volumes about the industry's priorities and moral compass. The social media machine, hopeful updates versus harsh reality. One of the most insidious aspects of this saga has been the role of social media in perpetuating a misleading narrative about Tamela's health. Insiders reveal that her social media management team was under strict orders to post hopeful and uplifting updates, regardless of Tamela's actual condition. For example, while Tamela was reportedly sedated and unable to communicate, her team posted a video titled "Still Standing," which rapidly garnered over 500,000 views. The video painted a picture of resilience and strength, masking the stark reality that she was reportedly unable to sit up without fainting or speak for herself. This deliberate misrepresentation has profound ethical implications. It crafted an inspirational narrative built on silence and suffering, designed to keep fans engaged and investors confident. But it also obscured the truth, denying fans the reality of the woman they loved and raising troubling questions about the authenticity of public personas in the age of social media. The industry's calculated monetization of decline. Perhaps the most damning aspect of this story lies in leaked communications from label executives that reveal a cold, calculated strategy to monetize Tamela Mann's decline, even planning for her eventual passing. Internal emails detail chilling end-of-life monetization tactics under the guise of digital immortalization. These plans included the development of a virtual Tamela series, farewell tour narratives led by other gospel artists, and the creation of limited edition Faith Through Firebox sets. Far from being a tribute to a beloved artist, these strategies read like a marketing playbook for capitalizing on mortality. What's more, the label reportedly crafted a comprehensive death preparation rollout. This included pre-planned social media hashtags, tribute videos, and even pre-recorded final words from Tamela that she never actually spoke. The entire campaign seemed meticulously designed to manage public perception and maximize profits, even while Tamela was alive but incapacitated. Scheduled releases before a final goodbye. Capitalizing on mortality. Perhaps the coldest and most unsettling revelation in this unfolding tragedy is the fact that many memorial projects centered on Tamela Mann were already locked in, scheduled to launch regardless of her survival. Internal documents and leaked emails reveal a meticulous and premeditated plan to monetize Tamela's legacy even before her health had stabilized from her latest critical surgery. A former assistant leaked a draft email bearing the chilling title, "When God Calls His Angel Home, the Tamela Mann Celebration EP." This announcement was prepared for release before there was any certainty about Tamela's recovery, signaling a grim readiness to pivot from a narrative of hope to one of memorialization. The Celebration EP, a curated collection of Tamela's most iconic songs, was meant to serve as a tribute, yet it also functioned as a commercial product designed to capitalize on grief. In addition, another confidential document unveiled plans for a memorial gospel cruise. This event was to feature hologram tributes, a high-tech resurrection of Tamela's presence on stage, projected digitally to perform for adoring fans who may never get to see her live again. Beyond that, the cruise would include AI-generated sermons and devotional content, crafted to simulate Tamela's inspiring voice and spiritual guidance. This wasn't simply about honoring a beloved artist. It was a premeditated business strategy, a cold, calculated blueprint to turn a life and its inevitable end into a marketable empire. The gospel industry's ability to commodify death under the guise of celebration starkly highlights the tension between sacred respect and ruthless profit. The fight for truth, David Mann's legal battle. Amid this darkness and manipulation, a beacon of hope emerges in the form of David Mann, Tamela's husband, spiritual partner, and longtime advocate. For too long, David has been silenced, marginalized, and excluded from the very platforms that control his wife's career and legacy. But now, sources close to the Mann family confirm he is mounting a powerful fight back. David has reportedly assembled what insiders are calling the Judgment Day flash drive, a digital treasure trove of damning evidence collected over months. This archive contains secret voice notes from doctors who warned the label and management to cease pushing Tamela beyond her physical limits. It includes gag orders that threatened David with removal from all Tamela-related projects if he spoke out publicly. Most strikingly, it houses internal communications where executives mock him, dismissing him as an emotional liability within the organization. One leaked internal message brutally states, "If he speaks again, we scrub him from the project." The Tamela story needs less crying, more conquering. This callous directive reveals the extent to which the label prioritized marketability and narrative control over human compassion and truth. The AI replica, a Faith Tala, programmed for profit. In one of the most dystopian and chilling chapters of this saga, a virtual AI-generated version of Tamela, dubbed Faith Tala, has been created without her knowledge or consent. This digital avatar was engineered using extensive archival materials, pre-recorded vocal exercises, rehearsal tapes, and speech samples harvested from Tamela's vast catalog. Faith Tala isn't just a passive digital likeness. She was programmed to actively engage audiences by delivering prayers, motivational affirmations, and even wellness tips. This AI persona was designed to keep Tamela's brand alive and profitable, speaking and inspiring fans, while the real Tamela lay incapacitated in a hospital bed. This grotesque substitution, where a living woman's body and voice are replaced by lines of computer code, exemplifies the ultimate commodification of a person's identity. Her spirit, struggles, and pain were transformed into scripted sound bites and algorithm-driven interactions, manufactured solely for profit. The notion that while Tamela was fighting for her life after spinal reconstruction surgery, a virtual replica was tirelessly performing in her stead exposes an ethical chasm in the gospel music industry, where human dignity is sacrificed on the altar of digital innovation and revenue streams. The rising outcry, fans demand transparency and justice. The public reaction to these revelations has been swift and fierce. Gospel music fans, once loyal and trusting, have risen in righteous anger and righteous demand for accountability. Social media has become a battleground where hashtags like #LetTamelaRest and #ProtectDavidMann trend across platforms, uniting supporters who refuse to be placated by sanitized press releases or rehearsed devotionals. Fans have taken to dissecting Tamela's public footage, medical timelines, and the brand's marketing campaigns with a critical eye. Viral videos juxtaposing Tamela's vibrant stage performances from earlier years against heart-wrenching clips showing her in intensive care have struck a deep emotional chord, further fueling public outrage. Even respected gospel legends are showing signs of dissent. Yolanda Adams and Fred Hammond, once part of the close-knit gospel community celebrating Tamela's legacy, have quietly distanced themselves, unliking tribute posts and removing wellness-related reposts from their social media accounts. This shift signals a fracture within the gospel community, a refusal to endorse what many now see as complicity in exploitation. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more valuable updates. Stay informed. Stay updated. Hit that subscribe button.